and it keep me safe from the world, man. It stay tempting. They all say that I'm stupid, but man, it's my blessing. Life is more than just money, girls, and cars, is it? If you get too high on yourself, then you might miss it. At your lowest point, he'll take you high, and then you'll get it. Man, if God isn't real, then real isn't.
Hello, everyone.
Yeah.
Welcome to episode 2 of The Sound Off. Woo! We are excited to be back with you. We had an awesome opening week. We're thankful for all of your support.
Yeah.
And
happy Veterans Day.
Happy Veterans Day.
Thank you, vet out there. God bless America.
Yeah. I hope you guys took some time to do that with your day. And we're here to bring you some more news and sports and entertainment and all that cool jazz. And, well, let's get into it.
Yeah, this segment we're going to go over from elections to the terrible shooting out in California. We'll have our Freaky Florida edition as always. A movie review of Selma.
Yeah.
Spoiler free.
Spoiler free.
But if you haven't seen it, we'll talk about it in a sec. And of course, sports. We talk about all kinds of sports news and an ending question from one of our listeners.
Yeah.
All right.
So, packed week. Let's have some fun.
Let's kick things off. That's where we put like that.
So, it's time for...
What in the world?
I love that piece by Roy. What a great guy. Which, by the way, he's the one who asked us our question.
Yeah.
We'll get to that at the end. All right, elections.
So,
Weird.
yeah, it always, kind of expecting a blue wave, honestly, this year. I was nervous that between Trump's rhetoric and all the other jazz that it was going to be rough. But I think the Kavanaugh hearing had a lot to do with what the end result was. But that's elections for you.
Yeah, it was strange because we had the Senate go toward a conservative side, and we had the House obviously get taken over. Was it 26-8?
Yeah.
Something like that seats. Now, if I'm correct, though, President Obama, I think, lost like 60 some seats, which was a way bigger loss. But now we get to enjoy gridlock between Trump and Nancy Pelosi, if she's still around.
Yeah. Yay, politics.
Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen. I'm sure everyone would get sick of that one really fast.
Mm-hmm.
But right here in the state of Florida, we got some controversy with election fraud.
Yeah, it's seeming that Broward County has, just not even decided to count their votes or anything. So we have no idea actually who has won the governor race down here. And Gillum called off his concession, and now he's, back in the race. So no idea what's going on down there. It sounds like some serious voter fraud.
They're in a recount. They're supposed to turn it in by Thursday.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on.
So.
How am I supposed to enjoy an election if a bunch of people are? How's anyone supposed to take it seriously if it's cheating?
Yeah. I feel like it could be easy. We have a bunch of technology and systems. Everyone gets one vote. I feel like it should be simple.
I think technology makes it harder.
I don't know. Just bring back pen and paper. Do that.
I'm waiting to hear more Trump-Russia stuff.
Yeah,
now.
absolutely.
After this.
So in my home state of Georgia, we had a pretty big race between Kemp and Abrams. I was not a fan of either of them because Kemp, was an election runner. He was a vote counter and stuff like that. So it seemed like a bit of a, conflict of interest. But regardless, he won. Stacey Abrams, she ran a good race, but there was definitely some times in there, especially when you're talking about taking away from all guns from Georgia, that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
But good luck with that one. That's a tough fight to win. So Caleb, what happened out in California?
Yeah, Cali is still a weird place. We elected someone maybe even more liberal than Jerry Brown. His name's Gavin Newsom. He was the mayor of San Francisco. It tells you just about everything you need to know about his policies. So personally, kind of concerned about that. I think we're just going to go further and further in debt as a state, which we did by voting, all these kind of measures to borrow more money. Of course, they phrased it really nice with all kinds of different programs and more programs the government to pay for. The biggest one was Proposition 6 in California. If Prop 6 was voted yes on, the idea was to repeal this fuel tax, which increased vehicle fees enacted in last year in 2017 and required voter approval for the California state legislature to impose, increase, or extend fuel taxes or vehicle fees in the future. But they voted no. So which means the government can basically just decide whenever fees and taxes are going up related to vehicles and gas and all that stuff. A lot of my friends, young voters such as ourselves, were not pleased with that.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's another way that people can try and find a hole around that one. I'm sure there'll be a whole nother fight. I feel like a lot of people just walk into a voting booth and are reading it for the first time.
Yeah, that's true. And especially when it comes to parties now that we're so separated on everything.
That's insane.
Just vote
And it's not
your
just
side.
right or left. People, they'll just do a quick Google, maybe sitting there and be like, oh, Proposition 6 was supported by a Democrat.
Yeah.
I'm Democrat, so it must be good. It was supported by a Republican. Well, I'm Republican. No. Okay, do the research yourself. Just because it's Republican or Democrat doesn't make it great.
Yeah. It's
Yikes.
crazy how George Washington warned us about all of this, and we just completely failed immediately.
Sit down for a history lesson.
Yeah.
All right, speaking of California, we just covered a shooting last week, and here we are, round 2. I was out in Thousand Oaks, California, a little over an hour north of where I'm from, up in the Malibu area, which, by the way, is a fire there now, so they're
Hurt,
suffering. All right,
Yeah.
what was your reaction?
I just woke up. I remember sending Caleb the link to it, seeing, here's another shooting. We have the typical reaction from everyone. NRA, far right people are like, yes, hold on to the guns. Guns help people. And then far left is take away all of them, ban them all. Why do we have these problems? Canada doesn't have these problems. Australia doesn't have these problems. And a lot of what Caleb and I believe about this is we aren't addressing enough of the heart problem. We aren't addressing evil in that way. We're just focusing more on here's the weapon, here is a symptom, instead of addressing the actual problem.
We're gonna take a stance pretty much. It sounds like riding the fence, but there's problems on both sides in how people are looking at this.
Yeah.
Because we have some people where it's like, let's get rid of every single gun, which obviously that's a Second Amendment issue. And being able to protect yourself is a good thing. We could go down all kinds of stats about who's killing what with whatever weapon. And then you got on the other side where it's like, hey, let's have no restrictions at all. If you can breathe, you can own a gun.
Yeah.
And that's a problem too. This guy bought guns legally, and he had passive. I don't know about mental illness, but
PTSD.
Yeah, PTSD. Like, I feel like you should be getting checked out
Yeah,
on if you should be able to
for
own a
sure.
gun with that. So.
And under California's gun regulations, their laws, a lot of the magazine that he was using
that
was
illegal.
illegal.
Yeah.
So, gun laws aren't going to stop people. Laws don't stop people from doing bad things. We need to address their behavior. And that's pretty much all we can say about that. We had,
It's just sad.
yeah.
I know that we actually had someone at a group one going to a summer Christian camp, and a friend of ours from camp was there. He was there. He's okay, but I mean, you saw the videos of other parents and friends. Again, like I said last week, I'm glad I'm not in charge. I don't have all the answers on how to fix everything.
Absolutely not.
The first thing I do is try and get better background checks.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to be banning guns left and right. You just,
And, I mean,
whatever.
I saw a clip of Chris Cuomo on CNN talking about, thoughts and prayers and how useless they are.
Right.
When we're praying for you, if a Christian says they're praying for you, we are literally doing the best thing we can. And we believe in a deity who controls everything and has power. We're asking for him to help. And that's the most we can do. He's more powerful than President Trump. He's more powerful than all the nations. So, we're trying to do more than thoughts and prayers. But at this rate, I'm 22.
Thoughts and prayers
and
can lead
it's
to
like,
action.
yeah, it's all we do. It's all we can do right now. So, yeah.
No, that's the answer he said he hated. That's all you can do was he's like, do something.
Yeah.
The idea, there's a million things we could run off there and take forever in that conversation.
Anyway, hopefully you'll be praying for them as well as the people who are in the fire, like that's in California. It looks absolutely terrible out there. Fire, tornadoes, and just the entire place is wrecked. So,
And not a strong sight.
yeah.
All right, super brief. Where's the caravan at?
The caravan is actually in Mexico City, so they're making a lot of headway. Mexico City's not too far from the border, so we'll see. I don't know. But
Yeah,
they're
I don't
coming.
know what's going to happen.
And
We
we
talked
have-
about that last
yeah.
week.
there's
How about some good news?
good news. We actually have some of that this week,
How about some
thankfully.
good news?
Last week, SNL commentator Pete Davidson made fun of the man who's running in the Texas, one of the state races. I'm forgetting which race it was in.
Well, his name is Dan Crenshaw.
Yeah.
And he accepted his apology.
Yeah. So Crenshaw he was in service and he got his eye taken out while he was over there. So Pete Davidson made fun of him. I mean, it was an okay joke. It wasn't like great or anything, but conservatives naturally were just up in a hissy fit, just really upset about
were losing
this.
their mind.
And he took it really well. Like, he had a sincere apology. Pete Davidson's dad apparently died during 9/11, and he apologized to him for that and said that he accepted his apology and was really gracious, and then went on to roast Pete Davidson. And it was actually really good, and it was probably one of the best things I've seen just like this week in general. Like, here is a guy who got insulted but still didn't take it to heart and just, went on with his life. And
See, it was nice to see something like this instead of insane media outrage for a week or so and people demanding everyone gets fired or their position stripped away from them.
So good on SNL for having him on.
Yeah,
and
for
like,
real.
it is a really good move all around. So, good things do happen.
Yeah, awesome. All right, it's time for one of your favorite segments. It's one of ours.
Yeah.
It's time for our Freaky Florida segment, and it's pretty freaky.
Yeah. So what we have today is a woman in Florida who stabbed her husband, but the excuse she made was that she slipped on dog poop.
Yeah, while holding a knife.
Like what? How does that happen? I can't explain or fathom how she got to that conclusion. So
The initial 911 call, this lady said she was holding her dog while washing the dishes. So I guess that's how she got the knife.
Yeah.
Was from the dishes. Then it doesn't even explain why. I just happened to run toward her husband. I guess she was really happy to see her husband. Runs toward her husband, slipped and stabbed her husband in the shoulder area.
inside the house?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, I was in Polk County. They officials arrived there. They said she was slicing pizza and then noticed her dog had defecated and urinated in the living room. When she went to clean the mess, she slipped, still holding the knife, falling on her husband. So already they already had two different accounts between the 911 call and when they got there.
Yeah.
And detectives said they found no traces of feces or urine in the living room. So it was all a lie, and it wasn't even a consistent one either.
Yeah.
What?
Florida. What? Something in the water, I guess.
Dude.
I don't know.
Slip. I feel like you could. You had time to call. You're the one who called 911. It wasn't like someone else called it and you had to think quickly. You're the one who called it. Well, thank goodness they caught you because you killed your husband.
Yeah.
That's terrible. All right. Man, these segments have a lot of heavy
really
stuff.
do.
Even when it's Freaky Florida. You probably laughed at that too, so don't act like you're better than us or anything for not laughing at that story.
I'm going to take that attitude here. Anyway, so moving on, we are going to talk a little bit about a movie. I guess we could call a segment should you even watch it? And we're going to talk about Selma today.
How did we even pick Selma? I don't remember.
Yeah, I bought it at a bookstore for like $5 a
that's a
couple of
good
weeks
deal.
ago. Yeah, so I was excited.
bookstore?
Yeah, at Mojo.
Yeah.
So I was excited to see it, and I hadn't seen it. But Martin Luther King, as you may figure out, he's one of my favorite people in all of American history. I love him. This movie made me love him a little less, but it is what it is. Overall, I thought it was really good. It was phenomenal. The actor for Martin Luther King did a great job of
He's
impersonating.
awesome.
Yeah. And he didn't really look like him, but I think they
I
chose
think it was
the right.
because he was darker.
Yeah.
I think that's why.
And they chose the right person for the job.
Stash. They had the stash.
They did have the stash. That's all that matters,
That's all that
honestly. The
matters.
stash and the voice. That's
stash.
it.
He had it down.
Yeah.
Was it historically accurate?
From what I understand, it was pretty historically accurate. They even touched on some more of the sensitive stuff of
Yeah.
his life that I am still doing research into, and they still have yet to release information about it.
Yeah.
So it's touchy, but I enjoyed it a lot. There are some people that were featured in the film that I'm not the hugest fan of. John Lewis, I'm not the biggest John Lewis fan, but it was cool to see his transformation from SNCC to the SLC. So I honestly thought it was a really good
This
film.
movie is 4 years old.
Wow, yeah.
The thing that frustrated me was people comparing civil rights acts today to back then. I was like, come on.
It's much different. And
People are literally getting shot in the alleyways and
Yeah.
sprayed with hoses.
that was like I was curled up in a ball watching that happen. Like, and it was on screen, so it was dramatized, but at the same time not. Just yeah. So it'll make you hurt a little bit, but it's a really good film. It wasn't politically motivated. Like, there are maybe one or two things that you could take that way, but
Yeah, I know. That's pretty
overall, it was a historical film.
Yeah.
So, definitely a watch for me. Go see it. You can borrow it from me if you want to.
I'd even give it I'd give it a 90.
Yeah,
I'd give it a 9.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it.
just about that too. Yeah,
I enjoyed it.
I agree. So, if you get a chance, go watch Selma. Rent it on Amazon. Have fun with that. So
We should do a bad movie in the future and wreck it.
we should.
Yeah, if you want a bad movie or a movie of us to review, you can send that in.
Yeah,
We'll
absolutely.
destroy a movie.
We'll do that.
Unless it's good. All right, sports ball.
Sports ball. Our worst favorite segment.
Yeah, sports are lame.
They are honestly the worst. But at
Hey,
the
the Packers
best.
won today.
The Packers did win,
Yeah,
but the Bears won.
Yeah.
and
So
that's
I guess we're happy
better.
there.
Yeah, but the Falcons got beat by the Browns. So
It must be nice having two teams.
yeah, okay. You know what? We'll have this discussion later. But regardless,
Weird score was the
weird
NFL today.
scores.
The Patriots got dropped kicked in the throat by the Tennessee Titans.
Yeah, right as we praised them and said they had a open road to the Super Bowl, they go and get absolutely smacked. Like,
What was that?
I have no clue. I didn't even see the highlights yet. Like, did Marcus Mariota just throw?
Oh,
lines
and
all
Tom
day?
Brady had another flood moment where he went out as wide receiver.
Oh, I saw that. I saw that one, and he like tripped on himself.
Yeah, everyone was making fun of him.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to make fun of someone with 5 Super Bowl
Yeah,
rings.
I mean, he's 40-year-old guy. I'd give him some slack. So,
Yeah, poor guy.
oh well.
Yeah, they'll be fine.
They'll be fine.
They'll
They'll
be
bounce back
fine.
and destroy whoever it is next week.
College football. Here's the big question: who is gonna beat Alabama?
Man, that's the worst part about college football is knowing that every year Alabama's just going to put out a team that seems unbeatable. My Georgia Bulldogs, in my opinion, and slightly biased opinion, we have the best shot at beating them in the SEC championship game. But outside of that, I have no idea.
Really,
this,
not Clemson?
Who's Clemson played this year? They almost lost to Syracuse.
That's fair.
They're a basketball school. And then, Nick Saban just consistently puts out teams that can destroy anyone in their path. Mississippi State put up a fight for one half yesterday and then got pummeled for the rest of it. Tua didn't throw an interception until the LSU game last week. Like, threw 25 touchdowns before that. Just absolute. And then the defense, of course, 2 shutouts in a row now. I don't know how you stop them. I really don't. So
I'm gonna have to hear Roll Tide all winter long.
All winter long, per usual. Even from people who aren't from Alabama. Guys, be quiet, okay? Just annoying. Anyway.
We'll talk about something more enlightening to my ears on who's a jerk. I'll tell you who's a jerk. Manny Machado and Bryce Harper are jerks. And more Machado than Harper. Harper's just more of a tool. Machado's a punk. And they're both free agents. We didn't talk about this last week, but lots of rumors are going where these guys are going to be signed to. Bryce Harper wants like a $300 million contract. We'll get on that in a second. And where do you think these guys are landing?
Man, I could almost see Bryce Harper getting a restructured contract and going back to the Nats. They offered him
does
one.
love it there.
Yeah, and they offered him one, but they had no opt-out on his contract. So he would have to stay there for I don't know, I forget how many years it was. But it's a long time. If they give him an opt-out contract, I feel like he'll go back. But the Cubs and the Braves have both been pursuing him.
It'd be better for the Cubs than the Braves.
It would be.
But I don't know. I could also see maybe – I wouldn't be shocked if the Dodgers did something like that because they're
man.
constantly trying to just buy themselves a ring.
Yeah.
I don't think
the
that.
Yankees? No.
Machado's more likely to be a New York Yankee.
Yeah.
Manny Machado, I just see him in the stripes doing
Derek
tool
Jeter
bag stuff. Yeah. Now Derek Jeter,
He was a class act.
he was definitely was classier Machado.
Yeah.
He wasn't kicking anyone. Now A-Rod did his own thing.
Definitely.
There's rumors Machado go to the Phillies. They're up and coming. They actually had a pretty decent
They had a
season
decent
last
season.
year.
Slipped off at the second half.
I mean, they could be a contender. And with little money committed to the future and with like a hole at shortstop, I mean, they could spend the money and do it. That'd be good.
And what was that, like, the sign above, was that the United Center that had it in Bryce
That's
Harper?
the United
and,
Center where the Chicago Blackhawks and Bulls play there. And outside on like the LED ribbons, it said Bryce Harper with the White Sox logo. By like, I don't know what that was about. Someone just took a picture like standing outside the building. I saw it on Instagram or Twitter, probably both. That was weird. The Sox too, though. I don't know. I don't see him wanting. You don't want to be second fiddle.
Yeah, absolutely.
The Sox are shamelessly second fiddle, and with. I don't think either one of them will go there.
Yeah.
Not Bryce Harper. I'm saying Bryce Harper sticks with the Nats.
Yeah.
Manny Machado. I don't know. Philly or New York. I really don't know.
Yeah.
I'm guessing Philly or New York, though. If he doesn't go to one of those two places, I'd be surprised.
Yeah. That's a fair assessment.
I'd be surprised. But the interesting thing to me about Bryce Harper is he's asking for a ton of money, like we just mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
Would you be happy to pay Bryce Harper?
I would not. He's very mediocre.
This last season,
Oops.
yeah. This last season he batted .249. Granted, he did have 100 RBIs, but you're batting .249. Last year he did way better, batted .319, but less RBIs. But the year before that, in 16, .243. So I don't. He's kind of random, like splashing up and down.
Streaky.
But you compare him to someone like Mike Trout, who's constantly batting over 300, putting up, ribbies pushing 100. Actually, this year, I think got like 80 something. I don't know. He can do whatever he wants, so he's amazing.
Yeah.
But when you compare, I remember the Bryce Harper versus Mike Trout stats when they first came in. What a joke now. Give me a break. I don't even want to know what. I'm an Angels fan, by the way. I don't even want to know what it's going to cost to sign Trout. I don't even think he's going to. I'd be surprised if he signed this offseason with the Angels. I think if they're not competitive next year, there's a decent chance he walks, which means we might end up being forced to trade him.
Yikes.
And baseball
Yeah.
trades are not good. Like,
No.
baseball's mean. Like, prospects, it's not. Prospects are mean in baseball. Never turns out to be what you think it'd be.
Man.
All right, hockey segment.
Oh my. Oh, okay.
You have something you want to share?
Yeah, okay. So the Blackhawks fired Coach Q. If you don't know about Blackhawks hockey or hockey in general, Coach Q won 3 Stanley Cups with us while he was coaching. 3. He's an excellent coach, an excellent person, and the front office just starts bringing in these absolutely terrible players who are not helping out our core players. And what they fire Coach Q? Stan Bowman needs to get absolutely out of Chicago. I am so fed up with his garbage and I don't understand. I'm literally so upset. It happened like 6 days ago, and I'm still just infuriated that we're still losing games. It's not Coach Q's fault. It's our front office that's doing absolutely nothing with the players to do anything in the offseason, to do any trades, nothing. I'm fed up. Absolutely fed up with Stan Bowman. Get out of Chicago. No one loves you. All right. There we go.
I'll show you a team on the opposite side. Whose team coaching is a problem. Randy Carlisle at the Anaheim Ducks. He's terrible. We're doing the same thing over and over, which is dump and chase, sit around. You need to give your defenders like a map to see what is going on in their own zone. We're getting outshot every game. The only reason it's been close has been thanks to John Gibson. It's terrible to watch. And as soon as I saw Quinville was fired, I was like, hire him. I doubt the Ducks would fork out that much money to do so. Honestly, I think the Ducks GM's being stubborn since this is a guy they had to rehire. Lame.
Hockey's.
Power rankings for hockey. Who's going on right now? Number 1, I got for myself the Tampa Bay Lightning.
Yeah.
Tampa Bay Lightning are pretty good. List, some people put Nashville at number 2. I'd have to agree with that. The Capitals at 3. I put the Jets there.
They're still good.
They're good. I
but
think the
just
Jets are
not,
better
yeah.
than DC. The Maple Leafs are awesome. But I would say our teams are nowhere in the top 10.
Nope, not even close.
No. I don't know. Who's been surprisingly good this year? Dude, the Minnesota
The
Wild.
Wild, yeah.
They're pretty good.
So
And surprisingly trashed the Kings and the Panthers. I thought the Panthers would be decent.
Yeah.
That's a long season though, but we're like 20% through the year.
So
We've already had a few firings. Time for people to make some moves.
Yep.
Okay,
So
let's cut this thing. What are we at?
Yep.
All right, we have asked you guys to hand us in questions. Alexander, what kind of questions can you turn in?
literally anything.
Anything.
Caleb wants sandwich questions, apparently.
Sandwiches are delicious. But we got a actually biblical question.
Yeah.
All right. So if you're one of those people who are interested in biblical controversy because you're not religious and you like sticking holes in the Bible, or you are religious and you like hearing this kind of things, or you're just curious the first time you're hearing about it, all right, we got a listener named Roy Mason. His saying was, in 2 Kings chapter 22, God sends a lying spirit into prophets. Is this God tempting to sin? How does it not go against James 1:13? Bam! Hot Wheels beat that. So he clearly wanted to like stump us.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Roy, for that one. That's terrific. All right. So if you haven't, super refreshed on your Bible knowledge, James 1:13, which is a New Testament book, talks about how God's not going to tempt anyone. He's not a tempter because he's, not evil. And in 2 Kings 22, do you have it right there? You want to read it?
I do indeed.
Here's what's going on in 2 Kings 22.
1 Kings chapter 22, starting in verse 19. And Micaiah said, Therefore hear the word of the Lord. I saw the Lord sitting on his throne, and all the host of heaven standing beside him on his right hand and on his left. And the Lord said, Who will entice Ahab, that he may go up and fall at Ramoth-Gilead? And one said one thing, and another said another. Then a spirit came forward and stood before the Lord, saying, I will entice him. And the Lord said to him, By what means? And he said, I will go out, and I will be a lying spirit in the mouth of all his prophets. And he said, You are to entice him, and you shall succeed. Go out and do so. Now therefore, behold, the Lord has put a lying spirit in the mouth of all these your prophets. The Lord has declared disaster for you.
All right, so the issue going on here is the idea that God, being righteous and holy, sends a spirit that's a liar to cause havoc. All right, you want to take a first jab at this one?
Yeah. So, firstly, when God sends the spirit, it's not God directly tempting. And it's not God, just letting the spirit get away with no punishment or anything like that. It's, I need someone to deceive Ahab, because all Ahab has done throughout his entire lifetime is put God in the dirt and believe other prophets and believe Baal and,
Now, some would call that an enabler.
Yeah, well, yeah. So, what, enabler, God enabling him? Or, well.
I mean, if you had someone today provoking, I don't think people would be a fan of you trying to get something done by telling some punk kid, hey, go lie to this guy.
Well, yeah. But, God's kind of all wise and knows everything. So.
That's the thing. I found a verse in Daniel 4. It said, Daniel 4:35, He does as He pleases with the powers of heaven and the peoples of the earth. No one can hold back His hand or say to Him, what have you done? The idea here is there's this guy, Ahab, who's a bad king. He's been given chances over and over again. He hears other prophets tell him things he doesn't like before this, and God's like, that's enough. And we've seen other examples with other foreign empires in the Old Testament where the people of God are like, hey, what's the deal? These people who are really wicked, you're going to allow them to punish us? And God's like, yeah, I am. And they'll be punished too. That's our best answer at that one. There are lots of tricky biblical questions. So if you like stumping people religiously, I guess you can hammer us.
Yeah.
And we'll keep looking at
Bring
it.
it.
But any question is welcome. It can be sports, movies, and as stated before, sandwiches, any types of food. Food review. Oh, that'd be great.
Oh, dude. That's actually fantastic.
We should do one of those.
I had PDQ today.
Oh, how was that?
It was fantastic.
That was
as always.
fantastic.
Yes.
That's where you go if it's Chick-fil-A.
Yeah.
And it's Sundays, no Chick-fil-A. Oh, maybe were the Lightning playing today? Here in the Tampa area, you get a free Chick-fil-A sandwich every time the Lightning win.
So, Tampa folks, cash in.
You're going to lose money on that. The Lightning is good. I just think there's not enough people that care about hockey. They don't even know.
That's true. Yeah.
Well, I'll keep collecting those sandwiches. All right, everyone. Thank you very much for listening.
Yes.
We're signing off here. I'm Caleb Spear.
I've been Alexander Newman. Thank you for listening to The Sound Off.
The thought of a face got me shaking in my shoes. Everybody tell me to do it, what I gotta lose. My old friends only care about all the bodies bagged, but sooner or later we'll be in body bags. Yeah, my mind has been haunted, I've just been losing it. Usually reject trouble, but I've been choosing it. Lately I've been on a low, this just ain't doing it. Feel like the world is an army, they just keep moving it. Don't know what I want, while others do the thing with ease. And I feel like I am stranded, all I ever say is please. And I've had too many girls I loved and I think you can see, but I've never found a girl that did the same thing back to me. I believe these answers, man, they lie inside the pulpit. They want me to be famous, but this world is so crooked. They tell me to shoot for the stars and live life to the fullest. And what if I could? Man, I'm fresh out of bullets.